Hey, welcome back to the Paranormal Portal. This is Don. We're happy to have you back with us. This is the second part of Nick Valente that we released on Monday. This, of course, was part of the 2-hour YouTube show. So here we go with the second part of Nick Valente. This gentleman, of course, has been a real pillar in the cryptozoology field for quite a long time, and he's come on the show to join us and tell us about his journey and his research, and we're going to dive into all things Dogman and cryptozoology with our guest tonight, Mr. Nick Valente. Hey everybody, and welcome to the Paranormal Portal Podcast. I'm your host, Brent Thomas. Thank you so much for joining us. As always, we appreciate all of you out there, and thank you so much for your wonderful support. Remember, if you've got an experience and you'd like to be a guest on the show, please reach out to me. You can reach me at paranormalportalradio@gmail.com. Please ask Nick if he thinks Dogman is a subspecies of Bigfoot and where he thinks these things come from. And that's from Bill in the chat.
No, I don't think it is a subspecies of Bigfoot because the pictures of Dogman and pictures of Bigfoot totally looking different.
Okay.
They don't like each other. There's different things about each one. Let's put it this way. All Dogman, all the reports I've ever taken, spoken to people about, read about in books, read about in libraries, they've always been like an apex predator.
Okay.
Bigfoot, sometimes certain Bigfoot it looks like they'd rather stay away from us.
Yeah.
The Bigfoot.
Yep.
There's been attacks by Dogman, like Elmira attack. You have the attack of LBL, for instance.
Sure.
There's another ranch that, oh God, the name escapes me at the time, but it was back in the early 1900s, where the Dogmen were attacking the area because people were building in the area. I mean, they're more aggressive.
Sure.
You do have Bigfoot. There's a Bigfoot called the Gugway. It's called the Face Eater.
Right.
The Algonquin Indians, First Nation people up in Canada, talk about them. They'll rip your head off and eat your heart out and everything else like that.
Yeah.
They're extremely aggressive, always aggressive. And that's what Dogman generally is. Very aggressive. And it's out there. But I think it's also pretty smart in the fact that, not human smart, but smart enough to know that if it went on a rampage killing humans, that humans would catch on and come out after them and eradicate them.
Yeah. Yeah, that's scary. That's a scary version. I know there's this, was it Siege at Lockett Ranch or something was another one?
Yeah, that's the one I was trying to think of.
Yeah, that's a wild story. Very, very wild. And then we get another question from Luna Moonicorn, one of our chatters, says, I swear the Dogman I saw had on clothes of some sort had been reported. Has that been reported at all in any cases that you're familiar with? And I've heard claims like this before. They're very rare, but they do seem to be sometimes seen wearing shirts or other garments. Is that anything you're familiar with?
No, only on some of the fake news that they put out there.
Okay.
Something I want to say to everybody out there, cryptozoology is about creatures that have been seen but not accepted by real science, okay? Cryptozoology is hard enough to study and research and investigate without having the fakers out there.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that come out with these fake stories all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a mantra. My mantra is to prove or to disprove that these creatures exist.
Yeah.
I've been north, south, east, and west in the United States searching down different cryptids. I've been over the border into Mexico after chupacabra, and I think I proved it to myself, when I finally saw a dead one over there, where a rancher had shot one, and he charged me a couple of bucks to see it and to do a few things.
Sure.
But long story short, it wasn't a bloodsucker. It had attacked some of its sheep and some of his goats. But the thing is, you got to remember, when something dies, when an animal dies, the heart stops pumping.
Sure.
Okay? The blood in the animal over time will turn to a gelatinous substance. It won't be liquidy anymore. It loses that liquid. When I asked I want to call him cowboy, farmer, rancher, if he wouldn't mind cutting open the one sheep and taking a look in there, I asked him if I could do it. He said, no, but for $20 he would do it. So I had to give him $20. That was another 20. 20 to see the chupacabra, 20 to get him to chop open the sheep that was killed by the chupi. Yes, it was bit over here on the neck.
Okay.
But when he did cut it open, I asked him to cut an artery open.
Mm-hmm.
I pointed it out. I wanted him to cut that open. He cut it open and nothing came out.
Okay.
And he's looking at me, no blood, no blood. I go, it's in there. You could see it. It looked like cherry jello.
Okay.
All right. The heart stops pumping.
Yeah.
And your blood starts to solidify.
Congeals.
Now,
okay.
Yeah. Now, this thing that I saw, it was about 40, 42 inches long. He let me measure it, thank God. It had bluish skin, but almost like it had a disease. No hair, but across the top and all the way down the back to the tail, it had about an inch of hair.
Sure.
Like a mohawk type of thing. It looked like to me that this thing had a disease.
Okay.
And that's what happens a lot of times to these animals. And with the chupacabra, in this case, this thing was part wolf, part coyote.
Oh.
I got to take a sample from it without him looking. Otherwise, he would have charged me another 20. But long story short, I took a sample back to a veterinarian that I know that does DNA, and that's quite expensive to do.
Yeah.
Because they'll do the DNA on your dog or your cat or your chicken or whatever you have these days.
Mm-hmm.
But I had him bring it back, and it came out to be 50% wolf, 45% coyote, and 5% unknown.
Oh, wow. Okay.
This particular animal. Now, because they have this skin disease, they lose their predatory ability to hunt, and they go after domestic animals.
Oh, okay.
So that's why you have all these sightings of, these animals that look like, a chupacabra, and it's going after sheep and goats and even dogs and cats for that matter, and chickens.
Sure. Yeah, I want to visit this topic again in just a minute. I just want to ask you, there's another question in the chat, and I think you kind of brushed on this a little bit, but it's from Jason Smith, and he says, do dogmen coexist with Bigfoot or Sasquatch? Bigfoot / Sasquatch? No?
No, they do not. They do not play well together at all. My research has, and speaking with some people that have actually, hunters that say they came upon it, they saw Dogman, Sasquatch in a battle. Everything I've read about it, everything I've researched in books and papers and everything. And when I reference papers, I'm referencing old-time newspapers in libraries, microfilm, microfiche type thing, where you could actually find these things and you could read up on it. You can go back into the early 1700s, 1800s, 1900s, with newspapers that have been put on microfilm and microfiche, and read what happened back then. But that's what's so wonderful about traveling to different states and finding these little old libraries. And when you ask them to see their microfilm of newspapers, they're like thrilled sometimes. At least that's what I found anyway, because they're very rarely asked for, and they need to have their funding so they can say, hey, these people, they wanted to see the newspapers.
Right.
But no, they don't coexist. Absolutely not.
Okay. Gotcha. Now, I did want to revisit the chupacabra thing because that's kind of an enigma to me as well, and I'm sure we'll keep getting questions about Bigfoot Dogman as we go. But the one curiosity I have is, okay, when I think it was Puerto Rico that it was kind of
It was first reported there, yes.
So
and I'll tell you why once you finish with your question.
Sure, but the description of it was this hunched over creature with like almost looking like a little vampire imp thing with spiky protrusions down the back. And then we've got these ones like in the southwest of the U.S., south of part of the U.S.
Texas,
yeah, that look like a coyote with mange, but they got those weird protrusions on their hocks behind their tail area. They're like on the back of those legs. They got those, I don't know, some kind of maybe overdeveloped scent glands or whatever. And then there's another one that's been called the chupacabra, and it looks almost like some form of kangaroo that has like fangs. And so what do you make of this, Nick?
What it is if anybody really researches into this, when it first came out in Puerto Rico, a film company, a Hollywood film company, was filming down there a science fiction film. The lady that reported it to a radio talk show host in Puerto Rico, she reported it hours after coming out of the movie that she saw that these people were filming.
Oh, geez.
All right. They filmed a science fiction movie. She saw this movie and she described that little monster in the movie exactly. Oh. Now, if you'll remember what the description was, it would pop up on two legs and it had like spikes going down the back and everything. She described it to a T. And the guy, the DJ who put it out on the radio, he was describing this to everybody. Now, a fear and panic was going around in Puerto Rico. And they're like, what the heck? We never had anything like this around here.
Right.
And then calls started coming in from other people that saw like large dogs out there that they said, oh, no, that's the chupacabra.
Oh.
And it's funny. Chupacabra has been reported in Maine, in Russia.
Wow.
In Texas, there's a lot of reports of chupacabra. Actually, the same kind I saw, about 40, 42 inches long, a cross between a wolf and a coyote, and with the mange, with the skin disease and everything, and they do look bluish.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's basically what it's like. But I mean, it's amazing how they're reported to be, like I said, in Maine and then also in Russia.
Yeah, in this wide spectrum of physical description as well. And it's like everything can't be a chupacabra, but I mean, maybe there's other things out there, other hybrids or whatever have you. But yeah, that makes sense to me. Okay. Thanks for your input on that, because that's one that's been a head scratcher for me for a long time. It's like, well, what the hell is a chupacabra? Because we got several different variations of it going on. We get another question from the chat, and this is from Rachel Gets It Right, one of our mods. And she's asking, it seems Bigfoot used trees, pushing them down a crossroads, twisting them into curves. Does Dogman do any kind of marking that is canine related, chewing or clawing the ground or trees, scent marks, anything that you're familiar with, Nick?
We find claw marks on trees that have been climbed.
Oh, okay.
We went on a couple of Dogman sightings, one in January and one February 28th through March 6th in North Carolina. Two different places, by the way. And we did find, I had one of our guys who's an excellent climber. I had him climb the tree where we saw the claw marks about 5 feet off the ground. Like I said, they're wide claw marks. We knew this wasn't a bear.
Okay.
Wide claw marks, and then we saw the second claw mark, and then the next one going up. I had him go up in the trees. Now, mind you, we were down on the ground, and we're looking at it with binoculars. That's the easiest way for you to do it, by the way, folks. You know, if you're out there looking for things instead of climbing the tree, use your binoculars.
Oh.
But there was a point where we couldn't see any more marks, and he climbed up, and he said there was more marks on this tree and then on the next tree over. So what he did was he climbed, and he went to the next tree over, and there was more marks there. And it looked like it kept going from tree to tree to tree, and, you know, so on and so forth, and he got out of the area.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Now remember, Sasquatch does different things with trees for a reason, people. We've been to areas where we've seen trees. I'm talking, God, 20 inches around, ripped out of the ground by their roots and shoved back into the ground.
Really?
And I'm saying to myself, I'm glad I wasn't here when this was done, because this must have been done by a creature with phenomenal strength.
Yeah.
And must have been really large. And I do not want to meet one of these things in the forest. You know, the reason they do that, they put the trees upside down, we believe, is a marker. And it's an aggressive marker, meaning don't come in this area.
Yikes.
And, you know, they also put up teepees. And from interviewing other, I want to call them Sasquatchologists, you know, people that just study Sasquatch and Bigfoot only.
Yep.
I've gotten the opinions of many of those gentlemen who have been doing it for 25, 30 years. Their belief is that it's sort of a message. This is a safe area. There's food in this area. Those teepees are not for shelter at all. Because if you ever look at them, you know, it's not going to protect you from anything. It's a sign. It's an absolute sign. To continue a little bit more on Sasquatch, if you like, the wood knocks that you hear, those are warnings to us. They're also communications to other Sasquatch.
Okay.
They're like a little army. You're going to hear tap, 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 and then a little bit closer, tap, tap, tap over here, and then tap, tap. They're surrounding you at this point, and they're checking you out. You know? And it's sort of a warning. It's like, we're coming. Maybe you want to leave. You know? And, you know, there's just all these little things out there you got to put two and two together and pay attention to when you're out there in the woods.
Yeah, that's like really intimidating, especially when you're talking about those big trees and the amount of force that must be required in order to do that. And not only just to, you know, get it out of the ground, which is, you know, Herculean basically, but to haul them around, you know, like those teepee structures. People have found them with full-grown trees making these teepee structures. And it's not like they just leaned, you know, as like a snow load or windfall.
No.
They're carried. No. In many cases, they're carried to that location and then positioned. And it's like, oh, my God, you know, this is a 1,000-pound-plus tree, or, you know, God only knows how much it weighs. And to think that the strength involved, it's incredibly sobering to, you know, just to imagine the sheer power these things are capable of.
Just a quick story to give you an idea about the Sasquatch. About a year and 3/4 ago, our main headquarters got several calls, very alarming emergency calls from this woman living just over the border out of New Jersey into New York State. She called our main headquarters. The main guy there called me up. He says, "Listen, Nick, this is in the eastern section. It's your area. This is when I belong to another organization." He says, "This lady's driving me crazy. She's setting my Facebook Messenger on fire. She's calling me up. She's sending messages. She's got a Dogman problem. Can you get a team out there?" And I said, "Really? Everybody's on vacation. It's this time of the year, and I really can't." He says, "Well, here's her number. Call her." I call her up. She's telling me that she has a Dogman problem, and it's tearing up the side of her yard. It's ripping up the backyard. She's seen it. She needs help. And I told her, I said, "Listen, I don't have any teams available right now."
Right.
I had one team out in Oklahoma at the time, and another team out in North Carolina. They went down into South Carolina. They're actually tracking a Dogman, and they wound up in Louisiana. So, I mean, I had nobody. We're talking 7-man teams, 2 7-man teams. I had nobody to do this with, and I'm not going to go alone
Right.
out into the middle of the night, into this area. You have a right to go into the forest, but you also have a right to come home safe.
Yeah.
Even if you're carrying weapons, you can't be everywhere at once with your eyes.
Right.
She called me up. She was bombing my Facebook Messenger. I called her back. I said, listen, I can get 2 guys to come with me. We'll be down there and we'll check it out. I got her address. I went there. Turns out her front door is 65 feet from the main road. It's a main highway.
Oh,
I really don't want to give the number. It's a numbered highway,
okay.
but that might be a clue. But it was a main highway, which really shocked me. And even though her front door was 65 feet away, on the left side, she had some forest area, but only about an acre's worth, and then a neighbor with a house after that. On her right side, she had forest area, and then the neighbor after another acre. In the backyard was all forest area. Her backyard was 100 by 100 square. It was nicely manicured. There was a tree stump in the back that was cut to 3 feet off the ground, so she really didn't have any trees in her backyard. Her garbage area, which her father built for her, and this is New York State, by the way, you have to go down 42 inches because of the frost line. In New Jersey, it's 35. There, it's 42 inches. Her father put 4x4s down 42 inches, put the cement down there, built a cage to the side of her house. Against there, he put, I'm trying to think of the type of fence. There's a special type of fence he used. It wasn't a thin chain link. It was a very thick chain link fence all around. He built a front door to it, where she could put her garbage cans. He also roofed it with the chain link.
Okay.
When we got there, all of the 4x4s that were sunk into the ground were out of the ground and thrown all over the yard.
Wow.
Now, no dogman is going to be able to do that. And the reason the father put that area there for her garbage cans is because she had a big problem with little smaller animals coming, ripping apart her garbage cans. So, long story short, I'm there with 2 of my guys. We're armed. We've got lights. It's about 1 o'clock in the morning. We're looking around. We went to the back of her property, and we heard some sounds. We were walking into the property. We had night vision on. We didn't have thermal, but we had the white night vision, not the green, the white night vision.
Okay.
And every 10 feet or so, we would stop and check our 360. Keep going. We had a tree limb that I got to say must have been about 8 inches around, maybe about 10 feet long, thrown at us.
Oh, geez.
Now, in the backyard also, in a neighbor's yard, I guess it must have been, there was a red barn-type area. It looked more like a garage, like a 3-car garage, but I lit it up with our spotlight and everything. Now, after we had this branch thrown at us, one of my guys who's really nimble on his feet, he didn't see it, actually. We heard it fall. We went towards where it fell. We were trying to investigate it. He actually tripped over this thing. That's how big it was. It was in our way. He tripped over. He wrenched his knee. We splinted his knee up. We took him out of there. We went inside. I spoke with the lady. She showed me pictures of eye shine on a tree in her backyard. And when we put our buddy into the truck, myself and my other fellow, the 2 of us, we went back to that tree. I put a tape measure up that tree. The eye shine was 15 feet.
What?
There were no branches on this tree, Brent. No branches on the tree. There was eye shine 15 feet up. She took pictures that night before we got there.
Oh, jeez.
Okay, now, I'm putting 2 and 2 together saying something ripped off, the 4x4s that were 42 inches in the ground. Something threw something at us that was really heavy. And I told her about this, and she goes, I said, when did this all start? She told me. Her parents were sick. She was away for 4 days, and she came back. And all this was happening. Then she tells me, she goes, I used to go to that tree stump in the back, and I would leave cut up apples back there every day.
Oh, no.
Okay. You don't gift
Food.
a Sasquatch, and you don't gift food to Sasquatch because they get used to it.
Yeah.
This is my idea, is that she gifted the Sasquatch every day of the year because she was always home to put those apples out there. She thought it was funny because she'd go back there and the apples would be gone.
Oh, man.
Right? She thought it was hilarious, but she was gifting a Sasquatch. And what I'm thinking, and I spoke to a buddy of mine who I actually do a podcast with.
Mm-hmm.
His name is Jeremiah Fountain.
Okay.
He lives in the Adirondacks in New York State.
Uh-huh.
I was talking to him about this, and I says, listen, this is up your alley because you're the Sasquatch hunters. I'm giving it to your team. We decided that this thing must have been at least 15 feet tall. And we're trying to figure it out, what it threw at us, what it did strength-wise.
Mm-hmm.
15 feet tall, possibly 3,000 pounds.
Is that, I mean, I've never even heard of one being that big, though.
Okay. There is a, I don't know if I'm supposed to give his name out on the air.
Oh, it's okay if you don't want to.
Well, I don't want him
Yeah.
to get mad at me, but he's a famous Sasquatcher.
Okay.
He's a famous author too. He's written Sasquatch books. He's been to Alaska, and he's also found footprints and indications of a 15-foot plus Sasquatch in Alaska.
Wow.
So, mind you, a lot of people will tell you, all right, I saw a Sasquatch 8 feet, 9 feet, 10 feet.
Yep.
Some people will talk about 12 foot tall.
Mm-hmm.
Well, like I said, in nature, it's an anomaly. It can be. Anything is possible.
Sure.
But where the eye shine was,
Mm-hmm.
Brent, there was no branches near this tree that we measured, and she took pictures of it at nighttime, and she took pictures of the eye shine.
Jeez.
The eye shine was 15 feet up on the same tree. I couldn't miss the tree because 10 feet in front of the tree was the stump that was 3 feet out of the ground that she used to leave her apples. And that tree was like 10 feet back.
Yeah.
We ran the tape measure up. The eye shine was 15 feet. Something, Jeremiah and I figured it out. This thing must have been about 28 to 3,000 pounds. Gigantic, ginormous. And I'm like, I don't want to have anything to do with this thing.
Yeah.
If you're going to defend yourself from something like this, if the bear spray doesn't work, and get it to back off, I'm going to need a 50 caliber. And I don't, we have 308s.
Yeah. That's a lot of squatch. That's for sure.
I mean, that is huge. And remember, like I said with the bear have very thick bones. Their skin is thick. Their muscle is thick.
Right.
You dissect the bear, they got like 6 inches of muscle, against that bone. And then the bone is about 4 inches, 5 inches around on some of the big bears.
Yeah.
I can't imagine what something would be like in a Sasquatch the size that was there. So I handed it over to him and his Sasquatch group, and he went down there and contacted her, and they found evidence, but they didn't find the 15-footer. Thank God.
Yeah.
Because you'd never know. You don't know what how it might be feeling that day.
I'm just wondering, what does a track on something that big look like as far as inches? Because I've heard of like 24-inch tracks and down, but north of 24 is incredibly rare. So, I mean, did you guys find any tracks, or were any tracks lifted?
It was 1:30 in the morning, and then my buddy got injured.
Yeah, but I mean, we
weren't looking for tracks over there in particular. We were looking for what was out there because it looked fresh what had happened. Yeah. Her tearing her garbage area apart and throwing the furniture in the backyard. She heard all this stuff. Her lights came on because she had them on, auto. And, motion detection lights are really a good thing to have. Yeah. And by the time we got there, the thing was just off someplace else. But
thank God. Well,
my question is, where do you hide a 15-foot Sasquatch?
Yeah, with that kind of cover, that's pretty impressive. But while you were there, that tree branch was thrown your direction?
It was thrown in our direction. Yes, sir.
How far away do you suppose that it was thrown? Did you figure out a distance to the tree line to where it landed?
we went towards it after it was thrown.
Yeah.
We had spotlights, 6 million candle power spotlights, and we were spotlighting it out there. And we kind of figured that maybe it was in, a certain direction. We were walking in that direction. Mm-hmm. We killed the spotlights because we didn't want to get night blind.
Right.
We had night vision, so we wanted to rely on that more so, because if there's something out there, maybe we'll pick it up.
Right.
I mean, we didn't know something was out there that was, walking around and was that huge and aggressive.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
But when Tommy hit that thing with his toe and he wrenched his knee and he went down, that was the end of that. We had to get him out of there. I mean, safety first, and, the heck with the Sasquatch and the heck with her garbage area.
Yeah.
We got to take care of this guy.
No doubt. I totally understand. I mean, you can't jeopardize your own safety and health over this. You got to think of your team members first. But yeah, that's got to be entirely. That's a whole.
We didn't have enough people. I mean, normally we have 7.
Sure.
Everybody was, all the other teams were out.
Right.
And I just got 2 guys that said they'd come with me because they didn't want me to go by myself.
Yeah. Thank God. Yeah. That.
And they were both listening to this lady, rant and rave. And I told her, I says, do not put apples out there. Do not even go out in that backyard anymore.
Yeah.
What we did for her, my buddy Tommy was in the truck after we measured where the eye shine was. Mm-hmm. I had several cans of black cayenne pepper powder.
Okay.
Coffee cans. I saved old chock full of nuts coffee cans. And we put the powder in there. What we did was we put it around her porch, on her windowsills, on her doors. Mm-hmm. We spread it around her property a lot. And this is proven to be a pretty good method to keep them away. Oh. Because if they start smelling this, it's going to annoy their senses.
Sure.
Their nose, their mouth, their tongue area, even their eyes if the wind picks it up. Yeah. Now, I told her, if it rains, you're going to have to do this again yourself.
Right.
The first one's a freebie on us. I have some in the truck. We did it for you, but you're going to have to get the cayenne powder yourself.
Yeah.
Put it out there, and maybe it'll keep them away. She hasn't called us back. Jeremiah and his group did go up there. They did check the area. They didn't find it. And she hasn't complained to them about it because I gave her over to them.
Sure.
But that was the end of it. But we're talking massive features out there. Yeah. Maybe they're far, few, and in between, but that's big.
That's all kinds of big. I just, it's hard to conceptualize just coming face to face with an 8-9 foot one, but 15 is like, that might as well be King Kong at that point. That's so much out of our range of scale. You're just a Chihuahua at that point, basically.
Huh. Jeez. I'll tell you, I have a very good friend of mine who's a former police officer. He's a published author, mm-hmm. 3 times, 4 times over. He does Sasquatching and Dogman. He was in a truck in an area where he lived. This is going down south and more towards the Midwest area. Mm-hmm. And a Sasquatch came up to his driver's side window about 18 inches away, he estimates.
Oh, my God. Wow.
While he was there. It was like 7 o'clock at night. And it came right up to the truck.
Yeah, I went Sasquatch researching once up in the mountains over in Washington, and I camped out in my car, and as I was waking up, and I was just thinking every day I didn't sleep well, but throughout the whole night, and this is an area that they're known to be in. I was like, please God, don't let me open my eyes and there's a big face looking at me,
or grabbing your foot and dragging you out of the tent.
Oh, jeez, yeah, no.
I mean, it's a possibility. I mean, I've read reports where that has happened. And, you had 4 people over there in their tent at night, 2 guys, 2 girls, and the one girl, her foot got grabbed, dragged out, and they never saw her again. Oh. So it's like, you're camping out in the woods, you're feeling like there's nobody around, and you're safe, and you're not safe.
No.
You know?
And that's really the real rub about this, right? Is that most people don't have any awareness of this stuff other than, oh, that's a bunch of flaky stuff. You know, I mean, there's big segments of the population that really aren't aware of not only the presence of these things, but the potential danger of them. Right?
And if they do see them, they're going to convince themselves they didn't see it. It was a bear.
Yeah.
It was this. It was that. They don't want to tell other people.
Yeah.
But, you know, Brent, to be honest with you, since the year 1995 to 2015, on the West Coast, we're talking California, Oregon, Washington State, Colorado, there was 3,500 reports of Sasquatch sightings.
Jeez.
During that same time, 95 to 2015, the West Coast of Canada, there was 650 reports. Why are all these people reporting this? They didn't want to get their 15 minutes of fame,
right,
because they didn't want their names, you know, published or anything like that. They just went to the police and reported it. They went to a forest ranger and reported it. Mm-hmm. They went to a friend who may have been in the military, or maybe they were police or something, or maybe they did cryptozoology and reported it.
Mm-hmm.
Come on now. I mean, that many reports just in a 20-year span. Are these people all lying? And I'm talking about the West Coast of the United States.
Sure. Yeah.
We're not talking about the East or the Central, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, there's reports almost every day.
Yeah.
In my group, the group that I run, I get weekly anywhere from a low of 15 to a high of 46 reports in a week's time on different cryptids that, you know, people will call me on a phone. They'll send me an email, or they'll send me a Facebook messenger message.
Mm-hmm.
And that's generally the way I get it. I will get a story and, hey, listen, I don't want to take it any further. I just want to tell you about it, just so you know that that's where they are. They're in this area.
Wow.
And then suddenly I'll get maybe 5 or 6 more from the same area, and then 3 more from the same area. And then that qualifies for me to actually contact the people, go on a video call with them if they'll do it, go on a telephone call if they will not, or just email back and forth with them, you know, if they won't do any of the other things. Because I'd rather look at the people in their face,
right,
and talk to them and ask them questions.
Mm-hmm.
If it gets to the point where it's viable enough, I'll get a team together if we can, because it costs a lot of money to get 7 people to travel.
Yeah.
Actually, from here to down South Jersey, for crying out loud, it costs a lot.
Yeah.
But can you imagine going like from in January and in March, we went down to North Carolina twice, you know, so 7 people, room and board, you know, you got to eat,
yeah,
you know, this, that, and the other thing. So, you know, I take it serious. I take it very serious. The one time in January didn't turn out to be a dogman. The one time in March, February 28th to March 6th, I went down with an expeditionary team. It was just 4 of us. We split up. I went one way with my partner. The other 2 guys went the other way. They got a sighting on the 2nd day there. They got a sighting on the 3rd day there. Wow. I'm talking a full-blown sighting of a dogman.
Oof.
You know, going across a roadway. They called us on the radio. We ran, but with all the equipment on and everything, I'm afraid I did the mile in 8 minutes or so. I mean, I couldn't get there any faster. It was gone.
Wow.
So, I mean, and the first time we were there, it turned out to be just an abnormally large black bear with an abnormally large snout. And I mean a snout that was maybe 3.5 times bigger than your normal snout. It was an oddity, Brent. It was just an oddity. And I had to report that to my group. It was not a dogman. But the people that were in this area, here, I'll actually tell you where it was. Washington County, North Carolina, Phelps Lake, Phelps Lake. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
What we found there, actually it found us. I'm sorry. We didn't find it. It was on 2 legs. It came out of the brush. It was about 6'5". It was an abnormally large black bear.
Wow.
As I mentioned to you, black bear go 4'6" to 6'2".
Mm-hmm.
This was about 6'5", 6'6", about 700 plus pounds. It roared at us in an aggressive manner.
Oof.
And there were 7 of us there. We were going to light it up. I told the guys to hold fire. I had 2 guys on their knees. They had the bear pepper spray.
Mm-hmm.
They shot it. It dropped on all fours, rubbed its nose in the ground a couple of times, and it ran off on all fours. It was a bear. But I'm going to tell you, to your normal person who looked at a black bear and then saw this guy, you would think it was a dogman because he was on 2 legs. He was on 2 legs because he was sniffing around. He was sniffing.
Yeah. Wow.
And he looked really odd. We reported this to the ranger in the area. And I said to him, I said, how come he's not hibernating? He goes, in North Carolina, the black bear do not hibernate. So we learned something. North Carolina, folks, black bear do not hibernate.
Ooh.
They don't.
Yeah, that's a game changer.
Right from the rangers.
Oh, man. We got another question here, Nick. This is from Bill in the chat. He said, does trail camera work as a way to keep dogmen from coming up to houses like it does for Bigfoot?
I don't think it really works for Bigfoot either, in all honesty. You see, the trail cam works with infrared, and that infrared, the deer can see it. The squirrels can see it. The bear can really see it. And you can be darn sure that Dogman and Sasquatch can also see it. Sasquatch generally will keep away from it because they don't want to be filmed. I guess there's something with them. They must have some intelligence because they can hide.
Yeah.
And as far as Dogman goes, they can spot that too, those trail cams. Oh. I mean, I've taken reports from people in my group. God, Brent, I'll be honest with you, I've taken over 50 reports of trail cams being destroyed.
Wow. Okay.
So it's like, it's either by cryptids or by bear.
Uh-huh.
One fellow had a deer come right up to the trail cam and kind of bite it. It licked it and bit it. And I guess he must have had a cheap trail cam because it cracked it and stopped working thereafter.
Oh, wow.
But I mean, this is a deer. So,
right. Yeah. That's pretty wild. And it does, you got to wonder, is that because maybe the consistency between all these different types of creatures is because it has human smell on it, do you suppose? Like maybe it just doesn't smell like the normal stuff there, and they're like, what the hell is this? Get it out of here. Or
well, you're correct. First of all, it's going to have maybe a little oil in there. Sure. It's got circuits in there and stuff.
Yeah.
You could smell the burnt. They could smell the burnt. I can't. The burnt circuitry that they put in there.
Yeah.
Something I wanted to mention is part of my working out because of my job is I ruck. Rucking means I have a backpack with 65 pounds in it,
mm-hmm.
and I'll go 3 miles. Generally, the only time I have to ruck is at night. Oh. I wear a light on my head, and I used to use a white light,
mm-hmm.
But for some reason that just didn't sit right with me, so I got one with a red light.
Okay.
And I'll be darned, but when I hit that, when people are walking their dogs and they're coming upon me, and that red light's shining, the dogs are getting all itchy and scratchy. They're looking at me. Uh-huh. I shine my red light out into the field, and I saw a couple dozen deer. They're laying down in the field, just like this, not on their sides or anything, but just down on their legs.
Right.
And they're all looking at me. They could see the red light.
Right.
So that infrared light that's being put out there, they can also sense that.
Mm-hmm. So,
I mean, if you're going to go out there, I would say, you're going to have to spend a lot of money, but you're going to have to get thermals.
Okay.
So that they don't see it.
Right.
And if you get the night vision, I would get the white night vision ones instead of the green because they look more realistic to me out there.
Okay.
More, I could see the shape out there, but we're talking $3,000. I don't know how many people want to go out, spend that kind of money and, just because they want to go walking around the forest that night and get the shit scared out of them. Excuse me. I know it's a family show, but I mean, can you imagine? Seriously.
Yeah.
You've got your 3,000 night vision goggles on. You're looking around, you see a deer, you see squirrels, and you just see a rabbit, and then you see a 10-foot Sasquatch. And then you go back to it and go, oh, shit, that is a Sasquatch over there by that tree.
Yeah.
What else could it be? Something that's huge standing there with shoulders, yay broad. And you're like, okay, I found it. Now what do I do? And like what we said, now what's your game plan?
Yeah.
What is it? Tell me. Are you going to run? It could outrun you,
Yes.
If it's a mountain lion, it's going to outrun you. If it's a bear, it's going to outrun you. So what are you going to do?
Yeah, that's a good question. What will you do, Nick?
I'm fully armed.
Yeah, okay. I mean,
I've got a 10 millimeter Glock. I got a 308 rifle. Yeah. I've got 6 other guys with me generally. We have bear spray.
Okay.
I also have, I think that if I'm out there, I'm going to try to hit them in all their senses. Mm-hmm. Okay. The eyes, the ears, the nose and mouth. What happens? Oh, by the way, in between the paranormal and the cryptozoology, I started doing UFOlogy, with spacecraft and stuff.
Sure.
So, and when I got out of that, I still keep my toe in the UFO community to see what's going on, because you never know what this thing could be. Right. Could it be an alien? Mm-hmm. So, what I have is all the guys have it. I have a subsonic whistle.
Oh,
this will put out 146 decibels. Okay.
Okay.
I'm not going to shoot this at you, but it's a multi-laser looking back of me.
Oh, sure. Okay. Yep.
These are laser beams going straight at you.
Yep.
I'm going to hit them in the eye with it. I don't have it down here, but I have electronic flashbangs.
Oh.
They're little balls this big. You press a button, 1,200 lumens flashing light, and 140 decibels of sound.
Right.
Going me. It's annoying as hell.
Wow.
I've tried it on dogs. I've tried it on deer, and they've run.
Yeah.
You're gonna try to flash them. I also have these things here. You're gonna flash them with light.
Yep.
You're gonna try to do anything you can. You know what? I also have holy water with me. Yep. I have black salt and I have white salt.
Okay. Yep.
Am I coming up against a demon out here? I don't know. I carry sage just in case.
Sure.
We carry a lot of things.
Yep.
We carry triple arms that are like in 160 decibel range. So we're trying to protect ourselves in any way possible. I'm also wearing a vest.
Okay.
I wear the new Fraz vest that's only like 3 pounds. It's a polymer of Kevlar, ceramic, and some kind of polystyrenes that they have out there. It'll stop a 308 rifle round.
Oh, nice.
So
okay.
I'm hoping that, at least I'm protecting my chest. I do have a combat helmet on, and I do have my night vision up there. I also have lights on the side.
Okay.
We're marked with infrared patches.
Okay.
So that we could see each other and we know where we're are out there. We wear the boots, we'll wear the ripstop gear when we're out there. Because, like I said, you have a right to go out into the field. You also have a right to come home safely.
Yeah, absolutely.
We don't go hunting, by the way. We're not out there to hunt.
Okay. Yeah. Like you're not actively like trying to recover a body. You're just looking for evidence. Yeah.
Mm.
Oh, that's wonderful. I think that's very good. I think the other side of it is what does it take to take down a 10 or 12 foot Bigfoot? Even if you have 308s and all this other stuff, if it goes south, it's going to go all the way south, and it's going to be just a mess. So,
well, the thing I'm looking at is that we have 7 of us.
Yeah,
and we have special. The bullet is a 200 grain bullet, and it's solid core because you need penetration on these things.
Right. Yeah.
All right. So that's what we are using. And if there's 7 of us and we're lighting it up with 30 rounds each, my God, if it makes it through that, then we have a problem.
Right.
Plus, in the meantime, I'm letting out the bear spray.
Sure.
I'm throwing down the electronic flashbangs. Everybody's whipping them out there.
Yeah.
Somebody's hitting them with the laser.
Yeah.
we're doing the best we can to protect ourselves, to get out of that area and to go to an area where we can defend ourselves.
Yeah.
But, I got to tell people, don't go out there with the mindset that you want to kill a Sasquatch and you want to kill a Dogman.
Yeah.
Because what happens if you actually get lucky enough and you do? They do have relatives. They do have friends.
Well, that's what my next question was, is like, do you believe these things are generally alone, or are they generally in groups?
I think they're in family packs.
Okay, so
I think the Dogman is in family packs.
Okay.
I think Sasquatch is in family packs, but larger family packs.
Okay.
Instead of just mom, dad, and the kids, I think the Sasquatch is mom, dad, the kids, the aunts and uncles, grandma, grandpa.
Okay.
Squatches out there. I'm just giving that as an example.
Right.
Of a family group. I think Dogman generally, they'll have, one, maybe two juveniles, a mother and a father. They will live in burrows of their own making. They'll live in caves.
Okay.
They'll live in old mine shafts. They'll live in tunnels. We're talking about Dogman now.
Yeah.
And one thing in the research that I've done now is that people that have caused harm or shot at Dogman, they actually track them.
The Dogman tracks the people, or the people
track the people?
Yeah, I've heard that.
The cases I've read, and 3 of them come to mind, and the people decided that they were being harassed too much, so they shot at them. They kept getting harassed even more, and worse things were happening. They decided to move. They moved, the one gentleman in particular, he moved about 700 miles away. It started happening again a week after he settled in.
Wow.
So it looks like they tracked him there. And they weren't going to stop. That was the end of that.
That's fascinating because, and while that may sound fantastic to those of you out there, how many stories have you heard about dogs crossing the nation after their family moves away, and they traverse the entire nation and find their family again? And this is a dog.
I've heard stories about cats too.
Well, there you go. I mean,
there was a cat that was left at a house, and his family moved, I think it was like 1,500 miles away. We were talking over 1,000+ miles away.
Right.
The cat showed up a couple months later.
Right. So,
and you're right, with dogs, same things happen. I've read about that too.
So this is not an anomaly in nature. I mean, there's regular examples of this with our domesticated pets. So is it hard to believe 700 miles? No, actually, no. And that's absolutely terrifying, because
it really is.
You think while they're back there in the woods, they left them back there. Well, yeah, but then you get home and they're in your next to your garbage can or something. My God. Oh, that would be horrifying.
Or tapping on your window. So I'm here.
Remember me?
Yeah. I'm here to really get you.
Yeah.
So what are you going to do now?
Right. Exactly. Well, Nick, it's been a rare pleasure to have you here. I hope you'll come back again and we can continue this journey, because obviously there's a lot more we could discuss, but we only had 2 hours to discuss.
I mean, like I said, there's so much more we could have talked about. Like the differences in light waves that we have around us.
Oh.
We only see 10% of it.
Yeah.
And the stuff about that. But we'll leave that for some other time for you.
Absolutely, brother. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you all for joining us tonight. Thank you for being a part of the journey. Thank you to so many of you for asking the questions. That was wonderful. I just love that interaction, and, it's great that you guys are here and a part of it.
Well, the only time she really turned with that famous was when I rode across the creek and got down off the horse. She turned to look at me.
All right, guys, thank you so much for joining us here on tonight's show. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Please feel free to follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/Paranormal Portal Radio, as well as finding us on Twitter. We're on Twitter at Paranormal Portal, Portl, and we'd love to have you stop by our YouTube page and subscribe and check out our shows there. We got hundreds of shows, Journeys into the Paranormal Portal, so I hope you'll check it out, guys. We're over there at youtube.com/Paranormal Portal, so hope to see you guys soon. We'll be back, of course, for more podcasts in the coming days. So we love you all. Be good, be kind, be nice. Take care of each other. Help each other out. Find the magic in every day, and remember to laugh as much as you can.